There he is, right there. Josh Tobar, back on it Sunday evening, 7 o'clock, everybody. Welcome to Unlock the Middle, as we are having another night with another guest from around the country that is just putting positive ripples throughout the world of education. My name is Dean Packard, and I'm one of the co-founders of Unlock the Middle, and I have my good friend Josh Tobar right next to me here on a Sunday night doing what he does best, bringing this stuff, this information to people around the country. Josh, great to see you. How have you been? Had a little time off right now, but coming back to doing what we do best. How are you?
Hey, everybody. Josh Tobar, principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garden, AZ, Garland, USA. Ready to rock and roll on 2024. You know what? It's something weird right now because it's 14 degrees in Texas. So we're about to shut down the whole state.
14?
So you might hear from us tomorrow. You might not hear from Texas tomorrow, but just know we're nice and warm. There's no school for most of us here in Texas on Monday, but still 14 degrees is something we don't do.
They
and there's
school?
Beautiful. No school.
You already canceled school?
No, MLK.
By the way, I was going to say, I know you guys have different holidays down there. We never know what you guys are going to celebrate, but yeah.
We got MLK done.
Done. Good. So you don't have to worry about the heat in the school at least. So that's crazy. I can't believe that cold. How often does it get that cold?
It rarely does. That's why it came at the right time, for lack of a better term or anything. But, it's 14 degrees and we don't know how to handle it. We know that is like chopsticks for you guys up there. But here, we're ready just to stay home. And the greatest fear here is always that black ice. Yeah. Since Texans don't know how to drive as it is. You add black ice, it creates a big turmoil. So we'll see. But you know what? The warm part about this conversation is having this awesome and brand new author joining the flagship show, your show, ready to rock and roll on a 2024 day.
Think about that for a second. Hey, imagine if you had some precipitation flowing right now. You could have some snow. That would be unheard of down there. No, I mean, it's 29 degrees here in New England. You guys got us beat.
No, we'll send it up to you guys right now. It should be there tomorrow.
That's nothing for us. No, nothing whatsoever. Hey, listen, we have a repeat guy coming back on our show tonight. Zac Bauermaster is coming back to us. This guy has been rocking it. Let's bring him in. Let's find out what's going on in the world with Zac. Zac, welcome to the show once again. How are you, my friend? Great to see you.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm doing very well. Hey, so this is my third time on the show, 2 on the Sunday night. Now, I believe I was on a Thursday night once.
You were on a Thursday too.
What I realized was, though, I wore the same shirt my first 2 appearances.
Come on.
I told my wife I should go for a 3-peat. She said,
"Why not?"
So I switched it up. But and then my daughter, we have a calendar that we all see. And the other day, she's like, "Why do we have to go unlock the middle school on Sunday night?" And I said, "We don't have to unlock the middle." So she's been joking about that all week. She's like, "Where are you going, to unlock the middle school?" But great to be with you again, gentlemen.
That's great to have you.
Awesome.
Josh, why don't you kick off tonight, bro?
Well, you know what? We've learned that on social media and in podcasts, a lot of people know you. Some people might not know you. So we talk about street cred because you know what? When you bring that street cred, people, their eyes, they'll open up, especially in our field. So Zac, tell people a little bit about yourself, a little background, and currently, what is your current role? Not only as an awesome author on his day, our special day, his day, but also what you bring to the table with educators.
Yeah, so education, currently I'm the proud principal at Providence Elementary School. It's actually my hometown. So a neat story, I started out as a high school teacher. So I taught 3 years, 9th grade social studies. Then I taught 5 years at the middle school level. When I got into administration, I started as an assistant principal at the high school level, but I was also in a hybrid role when I was a K-12 online learning administrator. And then I was a elementary AP for a year. And now I'm finishing up. Well, I will at the end of this year, I'll finish up my 3rd year as a principal. But what's been really awesome about my journey is the K-12 lens. So I'm a high school teacher, a high school administration. You have the opportunity to shake hands on graduation and wish basically adults well as you're sending them off for what's next on their journey. And now I'm welcoming families to start their schooling experience at kindergarten orientation. So it's just been really neat to see the K-12 level. And I say this often. I've seen it at all levels, and I tell people this all the time. No matter what level, that it's all about people. and just building those relationships.
Yeah, those absolutely correct when you say that. And it doesn't matter if you're starting at the age of 4 or 5 and seeing them off at the age of 18 or 22, whatever you're doing with your programs in your school. But at the end of the day, those relationships will last forever. So great stuff, and especially being part of your hometown. You think
Yeah.
about that. I'm back in my hometown where I graduated from as well. And there's nothing better than you seeing the kids come back. And, especially at this stage where I am, and this
Yeah.
was my path.
Now there's just a sense of pride I have about that. Oh, I can actually see it over this shoulder. There's a picture of me and my friends in high school where it's black and gold color. We used to go to sports events painted up with a Slanko flag. That's the school district. And I actually just brought that flag now to Providence Elementary School to call it our spirit flag. But I just have such a pride being in my hometown and helping these kids, helping these families grow, helping the staff grow to reach their full potential.
No, that's good stuff right there. I can hear in your words, man. You are committed to the journey, and that's what's important for any leader whatsoever. Hey, let's circle back for a second, Zach, and talk a little bit about you as a young student in your school. What type of student were you, and how did your own parents help influence your own growth to get you where you are today?
Yeah, great question. Certainly a yes, sir type of student, yes, ma'am type of student. Just really wanted to do well for the adults in my life. And I think that's part of what I love about education, because through my educational experience, I loved coaching as well. And you build so many great relationships with teachers and coaches, those people that invest in you. And they're walking alongside you. And I just remember that feeling of wanting to do so well for the teacher, or wanting to do so well for the coach because of the relationship that they built with me. And that's something I try to carry with me in education, making that impact, making that connection on people, to encourage them to want to do their best. And my, just a tremendous family. I have 2 wonderful parents, my mom and dad, who, what's so neat about them, and they still do it, they go to everything. Like, they go to everything and they support it at everything that I was at, whether it be education, whether it be sports, and they're still doing that for me. And they're doing it for my kids and just walking alongside. But that's something I really take away from my schooling experience, just those relationships that staff members built, just those memories that you take. And that's something else I want to bring into school, where people have fun, where people make memories. So having fun, making memories that last, a place that people want to go. School was a place I wanted to go, but I've seen it. A lot of kids struggle with school anxiety. There's a lot of challenges, and it's difficult to get kids to go to school sometimes. And I want school to be a place people want to go. And it starts with getting them here. And then as they're in the seats, as they're learning in the classrooms, they can fully maximize their potential.
I absolutely love that. That's 100% spot on. Schools where people want to go, want to work, want to be part of the learning culture. Spot on.
Yeah. No, I say I want to have a school where teachers are proud to work, where families trust and are proud to send their kids, and then a place where the kids want to go, and really with that community focus as well. I always think of that triple Venn diagram where you have families, community, and school. They're all overlapping, but in the middle, it's the child. So we're all overlapping for the child and just working together. Just huge.
Perfectly
That
said.
is so awesome. And just I would be remiss if I don't give a shout out to North Carolina Middle School Conference that you're going to be appearing at. They're here watching the show. And you know what? I've been thinking I'm at 90%. I'll be joining you up there on March 24th through the 26th.
Awesome. Yeah,
right?
Coming up towards the end of March. Really looking forward to that in North Carolina, in Charlotte.
If y'all have not seen that lineup, let me tell you, I go to a lot of conferences. That's one of the best lineups I've seen in years, better than NASSP. So if you're out there, educator, check that out. The lineup is just awesome. From Cafele to Zach, the boss, Eric Francis, it goes on, Darren Pipard, it goes on and on. But I don't want to take away that thunder, because I know that you're going to be there. We'll need to promote that. But talk to the audience about who inspires you, who inspired you on this road that you're on right now, because something had to ignite that inner fire. Obviously we know that he puts us on a path, and once he puts us on a path, but there's a voice that he puts on our shoulders that keeps us pushing ahead to what our purpose is, what our why is. So who put you on that pathway? But most importantly, who currently keeps on driving that fire in you to help out kids, to help out your community, that Venn diagram you talked about?
Yeah. And I'll go back to my parents. They're ones who have had a tremendous impact on me, and just the way that they raised me. And I always say there hasn't been a day that I haven't known Jesus. So I'm so thankful for that and that guidance, and the role that's played. And I'm going to stay in the family zone here, because now I think of my wife and I think of my kids. When I published my most recent book, I got a copy for each kid, and I signed and I wrote a little letter on the inside. And to me, like, writing these books, part of it is I'm writing to them. And that's something that's really encouraging to me. That's something that I can believe that I can leave behind. I heard John Gordon say sometime, if you're thinking about writing a book, he said, think about if you're not going to be here tomorrow, what would you want to leave behind for people to read? And I think my first two books, that's what I focused on with Humble Heart and Leading with People. Just some words I would want to leave behind for my kids to certainly read. They play a tremendous role in my life. And my wife, my neighbor, after he read Humble Heart, he came up to me and he said, "Hey, I realized after reading your book, if you didn't have your wife, you'd fall flat on your face." And I said, "You're exactly right. If I didn't have Jesus and my wife, I would fall flat on my face." So she is just tremendous, and the support that she is, the wisdom that she provides. I talk a lot about humble confidence, and she gives me a lot of humble confidence. She knows when I need to be humbled, and she knows when to lift me up and encourage me to give me that confidence. So that response is really family oriented. I have to give a lot of credit to my high school basketball coach, Tim Glacken. He taught us so much, and three things that I really think about. Number one, he loved us. He used to call me Z. And let's say we'd be finishing up a phone call, I'd be like, "Z, I love you." And something else he would say is next play. So when we play basketball, you're up and down. Maybe you have a turnover. Maybe you have a bad shot. Maybe you have a great shot or a great play, but it's always next play. And I've taken that with me in life, whether things are going well or I'm going through a valley. Next play, continue to move forward. And he always encouraged us to stretch outside our comfort zone. And I write a little bit about that in Leading with People, where there was a rec basketball league in our county, Lancaster County, and all the teams from our league would play against each other, suburban, rural area. But one summer, he didn't put us in that summer league. He took us to Coatesville, Pennsylvania, where we played in an outdoor summer league against adults. And just that small example of stretching us outside our comfort zone, because then we came back to league play, and when we would have the whiteboard before games, he would write Coatesville on it to show us, hey, you stretched outside of your comfort zone. You're ready to play. Do you remember Rip Hamilton from Detroit Pistons? He went to Coatesville. So I have to give a lot of credit to him. And those are some takeaways that have encouraged me along my journey.
Zac, leading with people. Okay, you get it. You're still, like, to Josh and myself, you're still in your infancy of leadership, because you're at the top of the reins in your school. You're doing it. You're setting the example for everybody. But while you're doing this, you get this idea to write this second book. Okay, and I think that's absolutely amazing, and it's very hard to do. But what was the internal drive that motivated you to write this second book? Where does that come from? I mean, you got a busy life. You're balancing young kids, a wife, a school, a community, and now all of a sudden, boom, you're here. So what drove you to that?
Yeah, that's a common question. My writing time is I'll start with my writing time. It's the early morning hours. That's when my mind's the clearest, just waking up early before the family's up. But really it started, and so Leading with People, it tells a story. In 2015, 2016, I was leading a meeting at school. I was the 7th grade team leader. And as I was leading the meeting, I got very nauseous and I passed out. And when I came to, I was surrounded by the assistant principal. I was surrounded by the nurse and teachers. They took me to the nurse. We're checking blood sugar. But here's the thing. I had known, and I was hiding, that I was battling anxiety and depression. Like I was hiding it, but it would cause me to get so nauseous that it actually caused me to pass out there. And what I started to do at that point, it's really where that's how the book opens, with that story of that day, but then how it opened up my eyes to people and needing to start sharing my story, needing people to walk alongside me in my journey. So during that really difficult season of anxiety and depression, I actually journaled all the time. And I was just writing. I was in the Word of God. I was writing down scripture. I was writing down how I was feeling. I was writing down what I was learning. So I go and I just have journals and journals through these difficult seasons. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's just been amazing, like how God used that time to soften and shape my heart for what was to come. And now you even see these published books that have come from this too. And I'm hopeful, and I pray that they impact other people. But this difficult journey, and when I went to write this book, I realized I think I already have a book here. So I went back through my journals and I just shaped it into a book. I don't want to say just writing a book is not an easy process. It takes control of the mind and can be really difficult. But really that's where, because I'm a firm believer in people admire your strengths, but they connect with your vulnerabilities. They connect with your weaknesses. So that's really how I started to get writing and just fell in love with writing through the daily practice of journaling.
Great stuff right there.
Well, let's dig a little bit deeper, because there are a lot of people, and I hear this a lot. Thanks to Dean having me here on the show, from different presenters and different authors, that it's always said that there's a book in everybody. Mm-hmm. There's a book, and you just go write it. You're an administrator. You have parent nights. You have family nights at your own house. You have Christmas programs. You name it. You have it. Maybe in your elementary, you've got little basketball teams, whatever it might be. Plus, you said you coach everything. Where do you get the time? Talk to that educator out there. Talk to that administrator, that team lead that wants to have a book and put out their book out into the world. Where did you find time? You're a dad of little ones. Yeah. You take care of little ones. You have budget meetings. You have personnel issues. You have everything that goes on with that. How did you put all your notes, all your journaling into one book?
Yeah, I'd say one is make the time, but also think picture. Just that the small disciplines done consistently lead to big results. And I think sometimes we just want to dive in and have it done. For me, it doesn't work for everyone. It was early morning hours, just writing early morning hours. For some, it's better if they're staying up later to write. But the small disciplines, and I want to encourage people, for me, writing, speaking, the conversations we're having right now, podcasts, it is something that helps me as a professional in my everyday work too. Because I know some people may think it could be a distraction. It's pulling you from your job. To me, it's a hobby, and it helps encourage me along the way. And it's also helping me grow as I'm meeting and connecting with a lot of other people. But for the person who's thinking about a book, I would say you just start jotting down your ideas. Get a notebook and say, this is the notebook. I just started this now because my mind's always going with different ideas. You get a notebook and you're like, all right, I'm going to start writing my ideas down in this. And some people have the Notes app on their phone, and you're just plugging different things in there, and just really continue to let that story develop in your head. But you have to be intentional about making the time. And then what I do is, like over the summer, then I can find it's not as intense with evening commitments and programs the day to day. And I'm able to find a little more uninterrupted times to write. And sometimes that's been helpful for me. But I've always prided myself in being intentional, being disciplined. So it takes being intentional. It takes being disciplined, being half crazy. Like, you know what, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And then before you know it, there's a published book, which started as leading with people. I was sitting on the couch. I just finished a box of Reese's Pieces, and I got this idea, and I started jotting it down on the box, and I kept it. I have it in my nightstand. So just take that idea. Don't just let that idea come and go. Just start writing. Start writing a little bit, day by day. Think of stories. Think of things that you're learning, and just write.
Zach, how can these leaders, aspiring leaders, use this book as a resource to help them get into and kind of move towards being in a leadership role, but more importantly, to support them through the writings that you put together. So talk to me how any leader could use this as a resource.
Yeah, so leading with people, it's based on an acronym. It's a people acronym. So the P is prioritize people. The E is empathize with people. The O is observe the needs and respond with compassion. The second P is pray for people. Then L is love people, and E is encourage people. But before that, I talk about, so those are the pillars. But before that, we need to lay our foundation. And so my first chapter is really talking about our foundation. And that's what I want to share with leaders the most. Continue to build your foundation. For me, that's being in the bare word of God. For me, that's being in prayer. For me, that's having mentors in my life who speak wisdom into me. For me, that's stepping outside my comfort zone. So we're continuously building our foundation because I want to take that vertical relationship with God and I want to spread it horizontally to the people I lead. And if I haven't built my foundation, I can't start laying the pillars. So I encourage leaders, build your foundation and never stop building your foundation. You know, Covey would say, sharpening the saw. So you want to continue to build that foundation and sharpen your saw. But then just be intentional with people. As I said at the beginning of the show, I found K to 12, whether I'm in an elementary school, a high school, or a middle school, it's always been about people. And just trying to take that into every day. Like the P with prioritize people. One time I had a conversation with my wife and she said, you don't always practice what you preach, and our family's becoming a byproduct of it. And a byproduct is a secondary unintended result. And how often do the people in our schools, the kids, the staff, the families become a byproduct of our to-do lists, the things, the emails that we're getting, and we lose sight of the people. And then, so once we get to know people, and that's number one, that prioritize, we're getting to know people. As we get to know people, we can better empathize with them and walk alongside them and observe and meet their needs. So within the book, what I do is I have those pillars. I tell stories about how people have invested into me, but then I share examples what leaders can do in their everyday practice. And the book actually ends with a 49-day plan that leaders can try. And what it is for, you talked about, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a principal. It's about leading in all those areas. So maybe you want to use this framework for work. Maybe you want to use it for home. Maybe you want to use it for just one person within your life. You're like, hey, I'm struggling in my marriage. I need to 49 days. I need to focus on my wife, or I need to focus on my husband, or I'm struggling with my staff and I need to focus on them. So that's really what the people framework is about, being intentional about every day as we walk into our roles, focused on people and meeting their needs.
Awesome. Hey, a big shout out to Andrea Bittner, who is a former Unlock the Middle family member, and our guest Carolina.
There she is, yeah.
Yeah, she'll be there at the conference with you, presenting with you up there in North Carolina. Yep. And Carolina and Allie, thank you for joining us tonight at the show here, listening to Zac. Hey, Zac, just real quick, going through the table of contents of your upcoming book, which one hits close right here, a tu corazón? Which one talks to you as a leader? Which one do you say, hey, you know what? There's always that one little special part, this little special section in this chapter that I would like to promote out there, because you know what? Hey, Coach, Central Hits, welcome to the show. Talk to us, Zac, about that one chapter.
So as you were saying I was thinking about a section that's in the chapter on prioritizing people. We got a call Memorial Day weekend a few years ago that my 93-year-old grandfather was down to his last days. So we drove out to Western Pennsylvania, Somerset, PA. We were at a Memorial Day gathering in my hometown, but we drove about 3 hours to say goodbye to my grandfather. And my family was there. And what we did was we circled up around him in prayer. So we circled up around him in prayer. It's something common that the Bauermaster family does. We circle up, we hold hands, and we pray together. And we were around my grandfather, and I remember something my cousin said. My grandfather was a farmer. And I remember something my cousin said. He said, thank you for Grandpa, a humble farmer who always took care of his most precious crop, his family. And that has stood with me. And I think about that all the time. A humble farmer who always took care, who always prioritized his most precious crop, his family. And that phrases me. That gives me chills just thinking about right now as I picture my grandfather, as I picture us laying around there, just being intentional about leading in our homes first and foremost. I'll be honest. There's Mondays I wake up and I'm like, wow, I did not give my family the best of me this weekend. And I head to school not feeling so well. Like, all right, I'm going to come here smiling and give these people my best when I wasn't doing it at home. And just that example. And I really want to encourage leaders. When you're in leadership, you can get caught chasing accolades. You can continue to chase the next dopamine. But those difficult situations at home, walking alongside kids, walking alongside your spouse, just never missing those moments and making sure we're prioritizing our families. So I want to make sure I'm doing that first and foremost. My kids, I have a 11-year-old daughter who's in middle school now, 8-year-old daughter, almost 9, who's in 3rd grade, and a 1st grade son. And certainly, like my cousin said, I want to prioritize my most precious crop.
Right there is very, very, very important. Great stuff right there. Quick shout out to TJ Karen, who's with us tonight, our technology director here up at Baypath. Thanks for joining in and being part of the show tonight, TJ. Thanks for the message there. So, Zach, let's circle back for a second. And I just want to talk a little bit about you branching out of your comfort zone now to speaking and consulting and trying to add that to your repertoire. It's not easy, to say the least, especially at the young stages of your administrative career. Step back for a second and give me how that feels. What does that look like? How does that make you uncomfortable? We say to teachers all the time, I'm working to make you uncomfortable because that's how you're going to grow. So talk about that uncomfortable feeling for a second and how that is progressing you forward.
Yeah. And I'll go back to that story of when I passed out. It's something I didn't want to happen. I actually called a mentor of mine right after it, and he knew I had a fear of passing out with the anxiety. And he said to me, you just survived your biggest fear. And like, hey, everything's going to be okay. But like I said, it just started opening up, telling my story, which has continued to gradually open up more and more opportunities. So I'm completely humbled by it. But growing up in town, there used to be a covered bridge that would head outside of town. And when my mom would say, hey, we're going somewhere, I would say, is it outside the tunnel? And when she would say, yeah, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to go. I'm a homebody. But now I'm getting these wonderful opportunities to reach out and share this message. And I think something that's really humbled me is that it's not about me. It's not about getting my name out there. It's this message and it's this story that I want to try to encourage other people with to grow in their leadership, whether it be in their homes, whether it be in school or a business. And I think early on, especially because I am younger, I got caught into, how can I get my name out there? How can I sell the book? And you can just get caught up into that. But I think when people start to focus on what are my core values, what's my core message, it all starts to make sense because like I said, it's not about me. It's about getting the message out there. But as I said, I want to prioritize my family first and foremost. I want to prioritize the people within my church and within the school at Providence Elementary, and making sure I'm doing that and I'm doing that well, because I don't want to be out speaking to other principals or speaking to other educators and I'm not living it out at Providence Elementary or I'm not living it out in my home. So it certainly holds me accountable and it keeps my expectations held high. But it's a really neat experience. But again, like you said, it is stretching outside my comfort zone.
You mean it's okay to feel uncomfortable? You do a rebound. You do get that internal vigor afterwards. That's great stuff right there, Zach. And that's what you can't be afraid to put yourself in that capacity because that's what true leaders do. You got to find that uncomfortable place, build around it, and move out of it. I love it. So good right there.
Oh, Doc Godino's in the house. Oh, no, man. Yo, Lord. We have so many people joining. Zach, you're on fire. You're bringing everyone out.
We got the culture queen in the house.
The culture queen's in the house right now. She's doing a TikTok dance for Tuesday, brother. We got to check her out on Twitter.
And like I said, it's been so encouraging because, of course, I blend my faith in Jesus and leadership and just because that's where my writing got started, where I'm listening to all these podcasts. I'm reading all these books. I'm like, yeah, this is good. This is good. This is all in the Bible. And I say while most books inform, the Bible transforms. And I just love early in the morning, Jesus would get up to spend time with God before others would awake. He would often, and leaders need to do this. I need to do this more. This weekend, I've been feeling it. Like I said, you come out of a big week as a principal, and then you're coaching youth sports all weekend. But just find time to step away. Just step away and embrace silence, embrace prayer, to continue to grow as a leader.
Beautiful words. That's the only way. I appreciate that, Zach. You know what? And sometimes I think of the first time that we talked with your first book, and that always stays in the back of your mind. And you know, from that moment that when we interviewed you, I made it a concerted effort to try to reach out to at least 5 people per day across the U.S. and just reach out. And so you're one of the fires that keeps me going. And knowing that you're here, you know, it just keeps on sending those messages out there. Hey, Zach. Real quick, right now, as we're coming towards the end, there are a lot of people that we know in this exodus that's happening in education, and people are moving up the chain of command, and people are going out. What advice do you give to those new educators in Iowa, South Dakota, Colorado, whoever it might be, that are going and facing this adversity? I love what you just said right now about sticking to him and his guidance. But what else can you give out there? Because you have such a beautiful heart, brother. I mean, you really, truly bring it out there, man. All you do is give like around 10 words in a tweet, and I feel it, brother. So what else can you say to other educators, other administrators across the United States that right now we all know it's testing season coming up, it's graduation season coming up, and this is where the wall starts hitting all of us. So what advice do you give?
Yeah. What comes to mind first as you're saying that is, it's not easy. Education's not easy. That's part of what I love about it. It's not supposed to be easy. And I'll often say to people, keep fighting the good fight. Like, just keep fighting the good fight. We're not in it for testing season. We're not, I know people are in different situations, but we're not in it for money. We're in it for people. But a people business is hard. A people business is hard. But it's such a great opportunity. It's such a challenge, but it's such a great opportunity. Working with so many people, staff members, kids, families, and just really trying to be like a peacemaker. But I think of it, I shared this with the staff at Providence to start the new year. Have you ever seen the graph of the attitudes of a first-year teacher, where coming in August and September, there's the anticipation, and then you get into the fall, there's this feeling of, you know, you're struggling to keep your head above water, you're survival, you go into survival mode. And then you get to this point in the year where there's disillusionment, like, am I even supposed to be in this? But as you come out of the winter months, you start to go up again. There's this revival, and then there's the anticipation again. So I think just understanding how difficult it can be, I think understanding the seasons that you can go in throughout the year. As an administrator, I struggle in October a lot. It's like you put so much into the summer, September, and you're all juiced up, and then all of a sudden October, I get the blues a little bit. It settles in. You realize you're in the long haul for the year. So I like to be really open about that. October can be a tough month. And I think that's where my season of anxiety and depression has helped open my eyes to lead with an empathy lens. And I want new teachers to understand that. I want new administrators to understand it. The work is difficult, but that's why we need each other. That's why we want to encourage each other. But I'll just say it again: keep fighting the good fight. Keep fighting the good fight.
You know, Zach, do you have a copy of your book available for the hold up?
I do.
All right. You want to do that for me for a second? There it is right there. Leading with people. I mean, it all encompasses everything that you believe. It's at the core of what you do and who you're all about. Where can people find this book? Where can they purchase this book? And talk a little bit about how that can play out.
Yeah. So the book is available on Amazon. I also have it linked on my website, zacbauermaster.com. If you're interested in bulk orders, anytime anyone purchases a book, I still get a little giddy about it. It's really neat. I was like, wow, someone wants to read that. But the other day, someone for an event that I'm speaking at, they just were ordering 125 copies. And I was like, it just amazes me. But so if you're interested in bulk orders or something at a cheaper price, you can reach out to me directly. and we go through ConnectEd, the publisher. But Amazon is the spot to find leading with people and leading with a humble heart.
Man, think about this for a second, Josh Tovar. We bring in an educator, a team leader, someone who just got into the field of leadership and has taken the reins by storm. Now is out on the market doing his speaking and consulting and making a name for the purpose and why, not the name Zac, but the purpose and why behind Zac. Think about how powerful that is, Josh.
It's just fabulous because you know what, in the end, it's sad that sometimes in the beautiful field that we're in, speaking of his name is a taboo and people might get offended. And I'm blessed that you are speaking of his name because through him we have all glory. And I appreciate what you're bringing to the table because that's especially right now is what we need. Every time we turn on that boob tube right there, we see all the death, destruction that's going on. Yeah. We need more of a word, more of the clarity that comes from his word. And it's not preaching out to anybody else. It's not about changing someone's idea. It's about having that light inside of us to make sure that we project what is good. And that's what our kids need. They need to know what is good out there because they just get fed with toxicity. With I love this. You all know I love this. And I promote nothing but the best on this. But ultimately, there's other sources, other evil out there that's getting in our kids. And it's our job. People like you, Zac, that I give you a high five. Glory be to you and through his word, through your mouth and through your words on your book. Blessings to you, brother.
Well, I appreciate that. I when I drop my daughter off at school every morning, I say salt and light, like salt and light. And that's what we're called to be, salt and light. As you mentioned, it's a 6-pillar framework for fruitful leadership. You'll notice there's a fruit tree on it. And why there's a fruit tree on there is John 15:5, where Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And that's just such a humbling and humbling verse to me. Like, apart from me, you can do nothing. So always as a branch staying connected to the vine so I can bear fruit. So I can bear fruit to the people around me. So I appreciate that encouragement.
I think the next episode is going to be Zac Bauermaster, superintendent of schools in his district where he is, making a bigger difference. I tell you right now, you've got all the seeds to continue to grow and grow within the capacity of just helping others, man. Great job tonight. Hey, next 15 seconds, any advice to anybody out there right now who's just needs that little bit of a pump up? What do you got for us, Zac?
I'm going to tell them it's all about people. It's all about people. Don't lose sight of people. And every day that you go to school, whether you feel it or not, keep fighting the good fight. Those days you don't feel like getting out of bed, those days you don't feel like walking through the hallway, those days you don't feel like seeing your students in the class, those are the days when someone needs you the most.
Drop the mic right there. There it is. Captures it all, Josh.
Big high five to all the Fantastic Four followers here. Carolina Fantastic Four with Principal Cafele, with Shika, with Tammy, with Coach Hurd. Unlock the Middle here with Dean Packard, making sure that all working together as one family, promoting the word of people such as Zac that makes our community stronger together. Thank you for being here tonight. And reach out to this guy right there. They're back again. North Carolina Middle School Conference.
Yep. Make sure you reach March.
I think I'm going to go, man. I'm going to go and watch you guys. I'm going to sit in the front row. So I'm going to do. I'm going to take notes.
Isn't Jenny? Is Jenny one of the presenters?
So certainly shout out to the North Carolina Middle Level Association. Looking forward to that conference in March. It's certainly going to be awesome. I believe it's March 24th to the 26th. Hopefully I'm not off on that one.
Yeah, Sunday to Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there. Hey, everybody. Well, once again, Zac, we want to thank you so much, man. You're the way you carry yourself, the way that you project, the way that you give others the power to believe in themselves, just second to none, man. You just rock the house out here tonight. And that's evident by all the people that are chiming in and all the conversations and messages that they're leaving for you. You are it, man. You are heading in the right direction. So anytime we at Unlock the Middle can help you, you know that we will. Josh Tovar, I'll tell you what, brother. Take us home. Give us that last wrap, and we're gonna sign us out.
Stay warm out there. I know the cold weather's getting out there, but ultimately love this special time with your family. Love them, embrace them, and kiss them. Have your favorite Netflix movie on. Enjoy that popcorn going, because you know what? It's these special times that we remember. Oh, remember this day, because today, as we grow as a family, we take that love to our family at the campus. God bless you. Have a great week.
There it is, Zac. How about right here? Where can we follow you at, Mr. Zac?
Yeah, so Twitter or Instagram at Z Bauermaster. Also www.zacbauermaster.com. You can connect with me there. I certainly humbled by the comments coming in here. Really appreciate it.
Jefe's here. Jefe, Principal Cafele. We'll be
There he
seeing
is.
you.
Cafele just entering the room.
We'll see you in North Carolina. I'm gonna be there for sure if Jefe's gonna be there.
Yeah, I want to get one of those pictures with him where he's doing his point. Bam, bam, right?
Bam. Good stuff. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Stay well. And again, remember, keep finding those little things that make kids and teachers in your building a little bit better because they deserve it. Have a great week, everybody. And thank you again for joining us here on Unlock the Middle.